The big focus at 5 p.m. in a historic move, or one that the centre described as a historic move. It has now told the Supreme Court that women are going to be admitted into the National Defence Academy, or NDA, for permanent commission into India's armed forces. The government, however, did say that it needed some more time to frame guidelines to pave the way for women to take NDA courses. The Supreme Court has now told the centre to file its reply by the 20th of September.
Today, the Supreme Court, while hearing the petition with regard to the entry of women in the National Defence Academy, which was only opened for males till this date, was being informed by the other side that the entry of women has been allowed in NDA, and this decision was just taken yesterday, and this was told by the ASG to the court, and this is a very landmark thing, and many congratulations to all the girls who will soon be appearing for the NDA.
All right, so Kirti Dwivedi joining us with the latest on what transpired in Supreme Court. The court, in fact, had several observations to make about the centre's response today. So Kirti, take us through what exactly the centre has said, what the Supreme Court said in response. This is, of course, not a done deal yet because the government still wants time to formulate guidelines, to figure out ways in which this can be done. This is, after all, going to be changing a policy that's existed since the beginning of the armed forces, in a sense. So take us through the big highlights in court today.
Right. So today's hearing came in the backdrop of the last time when the Supreme Court had passed interim directions saying that women should be allowed to sit for the NDA exams and wanted the centre to come up with guidelines on its own. So today the centre finally informed the Supreme Court that yes, we are delighted to inform you that the centre is going to induct women into NDA. However, we need some time to come up with proper guidelines and also the entire timelines regarding this process. To which the Supreme Court responded that yes, we understand that reforms cannot be made in a day. Army plays a very crucial role, but the armed forces need to do a lot more when it comes to gender equality. However, we are glad that you have come up with these on your own, because we want the army to take a very proactive approach when it comes to gender equality measures, and they should not be waiting for the judiciary to intervene every time. And as my colleague Vishnu Som has been reporting, that sources have been telling us that cadets are likely to be inducted at the 10+2 stage, and many more guidelines are also set to come up. Even the existing facilities at these training academies at the NDA will have to undergo a lot of changes for these female cadets that they will be seeing for the first time in so many years, a historic moment. So all of those arrangements are yet to be made. By 20th of September, the government will be filing its detailed affidavit, and the court will be hearing the matter on 22nd September next.
All right. Thanks very much indeed for that update from court. Let's also take this across to guests who are joining us on Newsroom Newsbreak this evening. I have with me Captain Shweta Mishra, retired. She's a former army officer. Captain Shweta Mishra, your first thoughts as, did you expect to see something like this happen, or, get up to a stage where women in the NDA can be a reality quite soon?
Absolutely elated at today's news. Such a beautiful judgment, certainly path-breaking and certainly historic.
Well, just to clarify, Captain Mishra, just to clarify that the centre has told the Supreme Court that it's now going to look at ways in which to make this possible. This, of course, after prodding from the Supreme Court saying, we don't want to intervene, we want the armed forces to be proactive about this. So it's still some way away, because the centre says it needs to come up with a roadmap. It needs to figure out logistics of how this can be done. But would you still say, broad specs, that this is a big step forward for gender equality?
It is certainly. I would say it is, it is a huge step. In fact, a giant leap towards gender parity, sustainable development goal number 5, that this country is, taking women as equal partners, not just in political leadership, social leadership, but now in military leadership as well. Right. I know when last month on August 18, when this interim judgment had come, I was wondering, because what Supreme Court had said was that for the September exams, girls should be allowed. That was too short a time, for the girls to prepare for an entrance exam, and for the, UPSC and SSB to prepare themselves to take in, the candidates for tests, and certainly the academy for training and all. It was too short a time for entire ecosystem to absorb the new thing that has come in the system. So now that the defense, the three chiefs have agreed in policy, which is a big thing. Now that by itself says that the times to come, things will be equal. I mean, opportunities will be more for girls, and young girls who are passing out from 12th standard will be, can be dreaming of being army officers right after 12th
dreams indeed. Onwards. The dreams are going to be possible. I think that's the biggest takeaway from here. Rupali Paul is also with us. Now, she's someone who always wanted to join the armed forces. Rupali, you say you're interested in geopolitics, in defense, but you would have ideally liked to have taken the NDA examination, something that wasn't possible when you were at the right age, when you passed your 10+2. So your thoughts when we're poised on what appears to be the brink of history?
I think this decision is very welcoming, very positive, and this will actually, boost the morale of the entire female aspirants who wanted to be in NDA and who has chance. Like, I don't have, but there are many who still have it, and they will make it. Like, we will surely, come with names wherein we will, like, we have Vikram Batra, we have Manoj Pandey, we will also have such good names to salute. Those female cadets will also be there. And I think this is an equal opportunity, plus this is female empowerment, one shot, and they are killing both the things. So this is very welcoming from the entire nation, female aspirants.
Right. There are, of course, larger questions about, what kind of changes this is going to mean. It's taken a long time for things even to get to this point. I'm also being joined by Suman Sharma. He's a former instructor from the Indian Military Academy. Suman, your thoughts at this point. The government's still asking for time to try and figure out the logistics of all of this. This is a defense academy that's not geared to have women on board. What is this going to mean in terms of creating capacity? Is this just beyond physical logistics? Is it, changing minds, changing attitudes also?
Hi, yeah, you're right. You're absolutely correct about changing the mindset. And I agree with the previous two speakers who've called this a historic step. Definitely it is. And I personally take it as a victory. About logistics, you spoke about logistics, physical and otherwise. See, we already had women cadets in the Air Force, Navy and the Army academies.
Right.
So logistically, I think there should not be much of a requirement, new structures being built or anything, because that can be managed. That's not an issue. But as far as the mindset goes, because it's the armed forces are all about command.
Right.
And the very fact that this order is coming through the court, it translates into something like, demanding respect rather than commanding. And it's about a long-term vision which we must understand, because any girl who goes to NDA and spends 3 years there and thereafter 1 more year in the academy would want to finish her career as an army commander, or maybe have aspirations to become the chief of army staff also.
Right.
That's how it is, So,
but do you think at least that the armed forces now have been pushed into at least acknowledging that there was a blind spot on gender discrimination? The court effectively saying, if you don't do something about it, we will be forced to do something about it. But it has in the end come from the armed forces, whether grudgingly or not. Suman Sharma?
I totally agree with that. Right now the acknowledgement has come and the first hurdle has been crossed, and there's an equal level playing field for the women to at least compete, to be there, to actually register their personal, the domain is open for them. That's okay. And it's quite a welcoming historic history in the making.
Right.
But then we must understand that going through the way, like for example, if you take the other Western nations also, amongst all the NATO countries, Slovenia is the only country which has a woman chief of army staff. No other country has it. So as far as other countries are concerned, I think they are also taking those steps, one at a time, and then going ahead and going with surveys and studies. So likewise, the center has asked, the armed forces has asked for guidelines to be laid and also some more time to lay down their blueprint as to how to go about this. So I think these are some of the questions and challenges which are going to come up, and we must wait and watch. Otherwise, as far as a level playing field, which is not there earlier, that
you believe that's been at least taken care of. Captain Shweta Mishra, let me just ask you a little more on that. Do you believe that the centre can now lay a roadmap for actual substantive changes to take place? Is this actually going to attract more women to the armed forces once there is this possibility of entering the NDA at the 10+2 stage? That's effectively not something that has happened before. So right after school, the possibility of being able to get into the NDA and thereafter a permanent commission, which will also mean more women perhaps in the end in senior positions in the armed forces. What kind of a change do you think that's going to bring?
See, as far as Indian Defence Forces are concerned, there are at officer level there are 3 different ways of entry. One is through National Defence Academy, another is through Indian Military Academy, and third is through Officers Training Academy. Up until now, women had been joining only Officers Training Academy, wherein they become short service commission officers and later granted permanent commission. But now, after 10+2, if they join National Defence Academy, they will be directly entering the stream which gets permanent commission. But if one is joining after 10+2, one has to go through a training of 3+1, a total of 4 years in academy. So the training period is comparatively much more long as compared to what is there in Officers Training Academy, which is of 49 weeks. So comparatively, the training requirements and the infrastructural requirements will be very different. So the government request totally finds ground that a lot more study needs to be done in terms of infrastructure, in terms of procedures, in terms of setting up standards for girls of younger age. Those who join NDA join at the age of 16 to about 19.5 years. So much younger girls are coming in, and also the intake in defence forces as officers through NDA is biggest. Around 400 plus officer candidates join each year the academy. So certainly a bigger number joining. So proportion of number of girls joining through NDA will also be more. So yes, overall the percentage of women becoming officers and getting permanent commission is bound to increase with this particular decision which has taken place today.
Right. I believe Rupali also has something to add to that. Rupali, go ahead.
I think that, when it comes to women coming into NDA, the girls, young girls, education and fitness will play a very important role, but I'm sure the country is ready for it. The females are ready for it. So as long as that is, getting met, the army standards are getting met, I don't see a challenge. Regarding infrastructure and all the development, I'm sure Army will, surely come up with those tactics. And if you see, PM announced on 15th of August that Sainik School will be getting the girl cadets. So I think, they have already had their own part of thing that they have already done. And I think this was just one official notification that they gave to the entire country that, yes, we are open. Please come.
Right. We also have one more aspirant on the phone line with us is Sneha Singh. She's a third-year student of Delhi University. Sneha, you're already probably a little too old. Essentially this is meant to be for people who are immediately post 10+2. But do you feel that you'd still like to, have a stab at taking the NDA exam? Your thoughts?
Not specifically for me, but I'm here to speak on behalf of the other aspirants because I'll be sitting, because I know I am, my age, I've already cleared that age of sitting for the exam. So I'll be sitting for other exams such as AFCAT and CDS. But then the decision that has been taken by Supreme Court, this brings immense pride being a brat because I am a naval brat myself. And it's been 65 years that only men were, allowed to sit in this prestigious exam, as I would say it, and get into the forces. But then now when the women will be there, and obviously the competition level will be higher and everything, the Army and the Navy will plan according
Sneha,
to it.
It's very interesting. You say you're a Navy brat, so presumably you have relatives who are already in the Navy. Tell me, what conversations are like, because essentially a lot of officers have been resistant to the idea of having women, younger women on board. So, tell us what the kind of, attitudes you've come across.
when I was in conversation, this happened with my dad itself yesterday night. So, because he knew that, I was going to, I will be sitting for other exams. So, he was like, now that the Supreme Court has made this decision, not just you, but other female from our family can join the Navy or the other forces. But then ultimately, it, somewhere when you're there in this field, when my dad has, already seen what happens and what not happens. So, somewhere he always says that whatever it is, whatever facilities that will be given to us, but then still there would be people, who will be coming in between and saying that, women's are not that physically
capable of that's been it's important that you bring that up, because that's the argument that's often trotted out. And Captain Mishra, if you want to jump in over here, the fact that in combat roles women would have to be in situations where which perhaps would be difficult for them in terms of physical capabilities. There's always this argument about women staying the course in a long-term career in the armed forces. Your thoughts on the arguments that have been given against having women in permanent commissions?
See, just now, one of the young girl who's there, the NDA aspirant, she made reference of Captain Vikram Batra, but then Captain Vikram Batra is more known thanks to the Bollywood movie that is made. There are young ladies who have already earned laurels and performed in the fields, I will take the name of Lieutenant Colonel Mithali Madhumita, who was there in Afghanistan, who, with her action, saved the lives of several men whom she was commanding, and she got a Sena Medal for her gallantry role. So that by itself is an example that they are performing, they are giving results, and they are there as leaders. So I don't see any argument there. If given an opportunity, we shine. And it's just that Bollywood movies and that kind of footage is not given, so that those things do not come in public. But then to say that girls are less competent is absolutely, I would say, sexist, because given the opportunities, they perform and they have excelled. So I think we should have total faith in the women officers who have been inducted, who have been trained, and who are there as officers and who are performing beautifully. I have total faith in them, and they are performing well. Any argument is totally futile.
You have total faith, as do we all, and this is a much needed step, and perhaps very long in the coming, but we have to be thankful that we are at least poised on the brink of what appears to be a historic step in the right direction. Thank you all for joining us.